Alright, what's going on, you guys? Don't judge my hair, I've been wearing a beanie all day. But working on Mike's 240SX. Let me show you where we're at. Pretty much, he's got full right lock now. We've pulled the strut tower back, we've pulled the frame back, measured off of multiple 240SXs and multiple points on this car. We've more or less squared it up where everything's supposed to be. I welded a plate on the frame, on the outside of the frame in the wheel well, because that's the easiest spot I can get to. But there's some ugly damage. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect. I'm not doing a how-to on how to fix 240s. I'm just fixing it, and you guys will judge me on it, but whatever. So I'm gonna pull the motor. I didn't want to pull the motor, I'm trying to be lazy. I've got too many cars. I got the Skyline, I've got my Datsun. There's two Datsuns in the back. My 350Z, my 240Z, my BRZ just blew up, so I'm super stoked about that. That'll be in an upcoming video. So anyway, I'm just trying to get this one done. SR20 is really easy to pull out. It's gonna take me like 30 minutes. I've already got the radiator drained and the harness pulled, so my buddy Tom's on his way. He's gonna give me a hand. I'm gonna pull the motor out because I'm gonna show you. I gotta repair the frame. So down in here, if I can zoom in, this is the crack. Well, okay, so this is where the crumple was, and I don't have enough beans to pull this. So I cut it and pulled it. When I cut the metal, it relieves the stress so I can pull it easier. And then I'm just gonna plate the damage. So when I pulled it and cut it and whatnot, the damage is just wavy and a little ugly. So I need to repair that. And the best way to do it is to pull the motor. On this side, I've already plated it. I haven't cleaned the welds, so they kind of look a little, there we go. Not too bad. I'm not the greatest welder in the world, but let's get this turned. So it's got full clearance now, and the car's up in the air, but I promise it has full clearance under compression as well. Let me see if I can get you in here. So this is the plate I did. I believe it's a 1/4 inch thick plate or 1/8 inch thick plate. And it looks a little funky on the top. I didn't run plate along here because the frame rail from here to about here and from here to here is thick metal. That's frame metal. Up here is thin metal. So I didn't want to weld my thick plate to the thin metal, so I cut it, or I made the plate the same size as the frame rail, welded the plate to the frame rail, and then welded this sheet metal that makes up the strut tower onto the plate. And then now that I have all this taken care of, I can set the weight of the car back down. It holds itself, and I need to fix this hole. And the easiest way, honestly, is to pull the motor. I didn't want to pull the motor because I'm lazy. So, pulling the motor. If I pull the motor, I get a whole lot of access to this frame here, and it's misaligned a little bit on this side. But I promise the subframe, what I cared most about is that the subframe gets put back in its OEM location. So I've squared measurements off the car back to some very good anchoring points on the car that are square, and I've squared the subframe. So the subframe is in its home exactly where it needs to be mathematically. It just looks funky. So because the metal's crumpled and it's never going to go back the way it was. So at this point we have good alignment, wheel clearance, and the frame is somewhat structural again. When I finished, well, I guess I didn't really film any of this. I squared up his radiator support and fender bracing. This is kind of like a frame rail, but more or less after this point, it's useless. It just ties in the wheel tub, which kind of ties a little bit of structure into this, but most of the structure's in this part of the frame rail and this part of the wheel tub. So I pulled this out using the engine hoist over there. and the hook, and I just, you know, gradually pulled on different locations, got it pulled square, and it looked really, really good. And then we noticed the strut tower was still leaned back a little bit, so we pulled the strut tower straight and got the plate welded in, and doing that, bent this one just down. It was already bent before, so it was easy to bend it again. Like it bent itself again easily. So we'll just pull this up. I have a fender hopefully coming, so I'll get a good OEM fender on this car so I can square all this up. And I mean, it's not perfect, but he should be able to stick a headlight on it, a bumper, and make the hood line up. So at least it drives, and we can put a kit on it in the future. So super stoked on how this turned out. I actually, let's see, you can't see unfortunately, but originally that looks like this, right? Nice and D-shaped, whatever. This is the frame rail. On this side, it was so crumpled. The corner of the headlight bucket was just folded in completely back into like where this fuse box is. And this frame rail was completely crumpled and a little bit, you know, not straight no more. So me and Tom spent a whole lot of time squaring this up and getting the frame rail. It really does look okay. The frame rail is supposed to be perfectly straight, and for the most part, I mean, it is. It looks weird right here because somebody drilled these holes out, because back in the day the lower subframe was coming loose, but it's mostly back to where it was. I repaired a lot of this right here, and like I said, a lot of this corner. But then we welded on this thick 1/4-inch plate to the end with some chain, and we used this to pull the frame rail straight. And I got a piece right here. I re-drilled out the strut tower adapter so that I could bolt it on at different angles and get the strut tower pulled in the right way, in the best that I could. I'm really not a crash professional, so crash repair professional. I mean, I'm just having fun with my friends and their drift cars and helping out. So we're gonna pull the motor out, getting ready to pull the motor. From there, I can fix that frame damage I showed you, and more or less, we should be able to put it back together, and it should be driving today or tomorrow. It's Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, so hopefully we'll have the whole weekend to play with it, and hopefully it gets done, and we'll have some daylight to drive it around. All right, just about ready to pull the motor. I pretty much got everything disconnected, drained the radiator, drained the transmission, so I'll pull it out. All right, I got the motor pulled out. That's the frame I need to fix, so gotta just strip everything out of the way, straighten up the frame, plate it, and we're gonna primer and paint the engine bay. We're gonna fix a couple things. These brake lines are hideous, so we're gonna go ahead and tuck the brake lines, tie them up nice, get some of the wiring tucked and cleaned up a little better. Same thing, he's got nice braided steel lines for the power steering that they're a little wonky, so it'd be nice to clean those up too. So that's where we're at. I'll update you when we get this figured out.